Hey fam, I am super excited to bring this video to you because this is like the culmination of my whole nursing school journey, and I get to transition from being Tamara B, student nurse, to Tamara B, registered nurse. Ooh! Please address me as Tamara B RN, always and forever. Anyways, this video is going to be a really long video, and I'm going to leave timestamps below so that you can like kind of skip around when, not if, but when I start to ramble, because I have so much to say and so much knowledge and advice to impart to you all. And yeah, it's going to cause me to ramble. So I'm going to start with how I prepared for Nclex. Then I'm going to move on to the day of Nclex, and then, you know, when, how I got my scores, and post Nclex feelings, advice. Then I'm gonna end this video with how I got my job, when I applied for it, interview questions I received, how I answered them, and how you too can get your dream job. So, starting with how I prepared for Nclex. One, I'm going to tell you that as much as we moan and gripe about nursing school, it prepares you for the Nclex. There is nothing I studied over and above what I learned in school that added to my knowledge significantly. Yeah, I learned a couple things after in my studies and my preparations, but not huge amounts of knowledge was added to what I already had. So yay, nursing school worked. Two, the entire time I was in nursing school, I was prepared to get UWorld when I graduated to get me ready for Nclex. I preached UWorld, okay? And then towards the end of my schooling, the girlies over on Facebook were like, Archer is the way to go. It's better than UWorld. It's just like the Nclex. So, I went with Archer. I didn't do the combo, which is the content plus the practice questions. I only did the practice questions. And I will tell you, in the beginning, when I got it 1 week after graduating, okay? And I took one exam. I don't know if it was just 75 practice questions, or if it was a readiness exam, or if it was a CAT exam, but I did really well. I got a 77. And anything 60 and above is considered, you know, very high chance of passing. So I took that assessment, and then because the school was taking so long to send our names to the board, I kind of lost motivation. Plus, I was just exhausted from nursing school, and I was trying to transition into being like a normal human being. So I said, okay, in the new year, I'm gonna pick back up studying. Well, the second week of January, I went on vacation, and all that went out the window. I didn't start studying until 3 weeks before I was supposed to take the Nclex. So what motivated me to start studying again? On, I believe, January 20th, we got an email from the dean saying that our names were sent to the board, and the board confirmed it was received. And then on the 23rd, I believe, I got confirmation from the Florida Board of Nursing that my application was approved and that I should expect my ATT in the next 72 hours. And then the very next day, the 24th, I got my ATT from Pearson. Yeah, that motivated me to study. The moment we got that email from the dean, I freaked out, and I went to Archer and I picked out their 3-week study plan. They have a 3-week, a 6-week, and a 12-week. I picked out the 3-week, and I set myself up to study. Because I had so much downtime, I was doing horribly on the assessments. I was getting in the 50s. A 50s is not a high chance of passing or very high. It's borderline to low. I realized that because I had taken such a long break that I had a little bit of a knowledge deficit. So I decided to listen to Mark Klimek to see if that would help me. Well, the first time I listened to it, it improved a little, but I was still in the 50s. Okay, so I decided to listen a second time. And while I was listening to it a second time, I realized that I was just memorizing the lectures. It wasn't adding to my knowledge. It wasn't giving me that extra I needed to get myself into the 60s and 70s. So he kept talking about his blue book, and the blue book is available for free that people have recreated. But I found that the version I found, it had like a question and then the answer right next to it. It was really hard for me to stay focused and read that. So on his website, he has his version of the blue book. It costs $50 and I got it. And it's like, it looks almost, it acts like Quizlet. You know, it has the question, you click it, and then the answer comes up. After I went through all 2,600 of those questions, my scores went from in the 50s to the 60s and 70s. From that point on, every time I took a readiness assessment, I got 60s and 70s, and every time I took a CAT exam, I passed. That was the deal breaker for me. That is what took me from no chance of passing to a 99% chance of passing. After I was really confident in my abilities, as in I got all these very high chances of passing and I passed the CAT exams, I listened to Mark Klimek a third time. But this time I was really studious. I focused on the notes. I took notes on things that I still wasn't grasping. And you know what it did? It just really gave me confidence in my ability to pass these exams. I will tell you, from the moment I did that blue book, every time I took a readiness assessment, I thought I failed it. And then I would see the score and I had a very high chance of passing. Every CAT exam, I would think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail this. This is awful. And it was a pass. All my scores were in the 60s and 70s. So that was a game changer for me. Now, let me tell you, this is gonna be different for everybody. You know, we're all different types of learners. We all have different levels of intelligence. We all have different motivations. I can tell you that I fall into 3 different kind of learning categories. I am primarily a kinesthetic learner. I need to do in order to learn. Now that is followed by being a visual learner. I like to be able to see it or see things get done. And then very last, an auditory learner. And if you can combine all 3, you can be sure that I will learn and understand whatever I'm studying, for sure. If you're that type of learner, the resources that I just gave you, Archer, Mark Klimek, Blue Book, plus his lectures, you're gonna do so well. Now, this is not to knock anything else. I'll tell you, in school, we had ATI. They made us do the 3-day live review. I am not a fan of ATI. I think that their approach to questions and rationales is a little flawed, but a practice question is a practice question is a practice question is a practice question. And a lot of people's flaws when it comes to being successful on nursing school exams is they don't know how to answer nursing school type of questions. And the more practice you get, the better. So if you use ATI just for that, go ahead, girl, you got it. The funny part, I do have the Saunders Nclex review, and I used it more in school than I did for my prep. I didn't use it at all for my Nclex prep. That's cray, right? That's cray. Now, now that you know how I prepped. By the way, Archer says if you do 4 readiness assessments in a row and they all score high or very high, you have a 99% chance of passing the Nclex. I did 5 assessments in a row where I got very high, and yeah, so that little promise, that little probability of passing in my case was very much accurate and true. Day of Nclex. Let's start with the night before. The night before, I actually didn't even finish 50% of the Archer Q Bank. Isn't that crazy? And I was trying to get to 50% because I was like, if I fail this exam, it's gonna be because I didn't finish the Q Bank. So I was like, at least trying to get to 50%. And in order to do that, on the very night before, the day before my exam, I would have had to take 5 different practice assessments with 75 questions each. I got through 3 of them. I did 2 of them during the day, and I did 1 at night, or I did 1 during the day and 2 at night. And I was getting ready to do a 4th one, and I was like, you know what? I got this. And I freaked out a little bit. And then I said, you know what? I got this. And I closed my laptop, turned on the TV, and 2 hours later, I went to bed. I woke up at 6:30 in the morning. I took a luxurious shower, and did I didn't do any makeup or anything, just a little gloss, and I did my hair, and I checked 10,000 times to make sure I had my license. So my appointment was 9:30 a.m. at the Doral location, which happens to be West Coast University, by the way. Very weird. I thought it was super awkward to be at a different nursing school, but you know, whatever. What else? You have to go in a half hour early. So to make sure I wasn't gonna get messed with, okay, I was there from 8:30. I changed my parking spot 3 times because I was super freaked out. I walked into the testing center at, I think, 8:45, maybe 8:50. And they had a space for me to go in early, and I did go in early. And boy, let me tell you, the security measures are security measures for real. They make you pat yourself down. I didn't put my hair up. My hair was down, so I had to show them like the back of my ears and behind, like the back of my neck. I had to roll up my long sleeves. I was wearing glasses, and he put my glasses down on the table and like looked at them real hard. They keep your ID. No, they don't keep your ID, but they hold on to it to verify everything, and they do the palm vein scan. They walk you into the test room, log you into the computer. I read every single word on the screen. Every single instruction, every single how-to, whatever, I read it. Even though my time was going, I read everything. And as soon as my test started, I said a quick little prayer, and I took the exam. I got 20 select all that apply. Towards the end, it felt like every other or like every 2 questions was a select all that apply, and it was super frustrating to the point where I was like, when I had like maybe 15 questions left, I had to kind of like, and I put my head down and I kind of stopped for a moment, and I was like, girl, you got this. What I found, I was a little worried because to me, it didn't seem, yes, the questions were, you know, varied and kind of difficult, but I didn't feel like my questions were super impossible difficult. Like when I was sitting in advanced med surg, I felt like my exams were impossible, right? But sitting in the Nclex, I didn't feel that way. So I was a little worried because you hear like it's the hardest thing in the world. It's like so difficult. So I was like, it's supposed to be getting super hard. Like what is going on? But there was maybe 2 drugs that I had no idea what they were. And there was a disease process that I had no idea what it was. But aside from that, I had at least a passing familiarity with everything that popped up on the screen. When I clicked question 75, like to move on to the next one, I literally held my breath and the screen went and I went like this in the test room without making any noise, because I was like, oh my God, I either killed it, passed it cool, or I failed it nasty, you know? Because if it's just off in 75, either you did really well or you did really bad, right? And then I went to the research section and I was trying to be good. But listen, after you've taken the Nclex, you're burnt out. Whether you have 75 questions or 145 questions, you are burned out. And like, I thought it was gonna be like 5 questions, right? So I'm all the way to question 80 and I'm like, listen, I got to 75, you got till 85. So I get to question 85 and then it rolls over to 86. And I'm like, I really want to help out the people who go and take next gen, but I can't do this. And I just ended it right there. I took their little survey, gave them all Pearson 5 stars, whatever. And then I walked out of the place. By the way, I didn't take anything into the testing center except my ID and my keys. I left my phone in my car because I was like, I don't need nobody saying shiggity. Not shiggity, okay? So I got my keys and I left, and I was like, I have been through a lot. I sat in my car for a second. On my drive home, I got the email from Pearson saying that they've been notified that I took an exam. Once you get that email, you can do the Pearson VUE trick, and you will know with 98% certainty whether or not you passed or failed. I got the good pop-up. I was super excited, came home to explain to my mom the good pop-up because she don't really understand that stuff, you know what I'm saying? I explained it to her, told her that basically, unofficially, your girl is a nurse, okay? I checked the Pearson website for quick results like every hour on the hour. I also checked the board website every hour on the hour to see if my license has posted. I have seen and heard people in other states say that the next day that their information is posted. Now here's my guess. Because I took the exam on a Saturday, that's probably why it took 48 hours for my license to pop up on the website. So Monday morning at about 8 a.m., I checked the website. So about 7 a.m., my license was not there. Around 8 a.m., my license was on the Florida, was on my account. Funny thing is, even though it was on my account, when I did like, you know, you can like search any type of license you want. When I searched for the license, I couldn't find it, but it was on my account. So I was like, cool. And I also went to check to see if the quick results were ready, and they weren't. Not that I was gonna buy it, you know, I just wanted to see if it was ready, and it was not. So that is something good. You should probably, if you're checking for quick results, before you pay for it, go check your board website to see if your license is posted yet, because most likely it has. Wow, God is so good, and I am officially an RN, and I am so happy that this portion of my journey is over. I am just so truly blessed and highly favored and so glad, and all glory to God. All glory to God. He got me through. I am here because of him. What else? Okay, so now moving on to advice. Okay, at Miami-Dade College, in your leadership class, they are going to tell you that it takes 6 to 8 weeks for them to send your name to the Florida Board of Nursing. In my case, and in the case of my cohort, it took them 5 weeks to send our names to the board, which is pretty consistent with what other cohorts have said. I did attempt to send a transcript to the Florida Board of Nursing. They sent it to me instead. Yeah. What in the hell? So don't send the transcript. They have ways around it. What else? They're also going to say, do not apply to the Board of Nursing until we send your name. And don't apply to Pearson until we send your name. First of all, as soon as I knew that I was going to pass Advanced Med Surg, I applied to the Florida Board of Nursing. It's not going to delay you. It's not going to make things harder for you. The only thing is, each application is good for 1 year, 365 days. So they're going to review it immediately. Like, I think less than 10 days after I sent my application, they sent me an email saying my deficiencies. My only deficiency was the fact that they didn't have my transcript or the list from the school. So about 30 days after that, they sent me like a follow-up letter saying they still haven't received the list or a transcript. So if you apply early like I did, that's the only thing you have to watch out for. That's the only thing you have to be worried about, the fact that you're going to get emails from the board saying you still have this deficiency. They also say you have to get fingerprinted, you have to do all these classes. You don't have to do any of that. I did not have to get re-fingerprinted for the board. The fingerprinting you do for the school is the exact same fingerprinting that the board needs. What else? When I got my, when I applied to the board, I had already paid $110, and I felt like paying $200 for my exam was too steep for that moment. So in January, after I came back from vacation, I did apply to Pearson, and I paid for the exam. So once I got that approval from the board, like, of course the ATT was instant because I had already done the process. So don't be afraid to sign up early and pay your fees. I mean, whether you pay it now or you pay it later, you're gonna have to pay it. So just get it over with. You know what I'm saying? Also, what I've learned about this process is just because you apply early doesn't mean you're gonna get your ATT any earlier than anybody else. You know, people who applied to the board in January and to Pearson in January got their ATT the same time as me, a person who applied in probably October or November. So do it when you want, but don't wait until the last minute. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Also realize that if you submit your application at the same time as everybody else, it's gonna take longer for it to get reviewed. Okay, what else? You only need a couple resources when it comes to studying for Nclex. You need a question bank and you need a content review. For me, the question bank was Archer and the content review was Klimek. You can get the content review and the Q bank through Archer. They do both. You can let ATI be your content review. You can let the Saunders Nclex review be your content review. It doesn't matter how you do it, just do it. And although I believe our education prepared us for it, there is something really powerful about doing tons of questions and doing really well on it. It's something really awesome seeing the very high score when you do a readiness assessment. Like that, it's me getting those 5 very high readiness assessments that made me feel confident enough to not just take my Nclex exam, but move it up a whole week. When I originally scheduled my Nclex exam, it was for February 11th. And because I got those 5 readiness assessments in a row, I moved my test up to February 4th, a whole week. So take with it what you will. Now, y'all, this sun did not come to play. Okay, it's been like in my face like the whole drive. Anyways, okay, so we're moving on to like the how I got my job, the interview process, questions, how you should answer them, how you gonna get your dream job. So I started nursing school because I originally wanted to be a midwife. And the best path forward was for me to become was for me to become a registered nurse first, and then get then become a certified nurse midwife, something like that. In the process of going to nursing school, in my very first semester, I realized that I needed to keep my mind open to other possibilities and still see, becoming an OB nurse as like my primary goal, but be open to other things. After my second semester clinicals, med surg, I realized that ER had to become a part of like my considerations because I really enjoyed my time there. I took OB in my third semester, and it kind of gave me like a renewed, I want to be an OB nurse type of feeling. But the more clinicals I did and the more I experienced the ER, I realized I really believe I need to start in the ER. And now I am passionate about ER, like ER all the way, OB who. So I always, from the beginning, like when I thought about applying, when I finally did decide to apply, I was like, ER or bust. Don't offer me no med-surg. Don't offer me no step down. Don't offer me no ICU. ER. ER. That's it. I also had in my mind that I would accept nothing less than $32 an hour because I wasn't trying to make less money than what I'm currently making. Because, well, let's just face it, I have a child and I have grandma. Okay, so I got peoples I gotta take care of. So I would accept nothing less than $32 an hour plus, shift differentials. So I applied to 2 different places. I'm not gonna tell you where I applied because I did get one of the jobs, and I don't need y'all stalking me, okay? But I got calls for both of them right away, and actually accepted an offer to one of them right away, even though I had in my mind that I wanted to apply to other places, but I wanted to wait till after I graduated to apply to more places. So the place I didn't accept an offer from actually called me 2 more times after the original call. The place that I rejected, the first time they called, they offered me med-surg telemetry, and I was like, it's a no. Second time they called, they again offered me med-surg telemetry, and I said, it's a no. The third time they called, they offered me like a pediatric surgery, and I don't remember if it was PACU or pre-op. I don't know. I remember what it was, but it was like pediatric surgery. And I was going to accept the interview, but they called me at Friday at like after 5 o'clock for an interview Monday at 12 p.m. And I was like, you know what? Is there any other day, or even if it's the same day, is there a time either in the morning or later in the afternoon that I can interview? And they said, no, this is our only availability. And I said, well, thank you for the call. Thank you for the opportunity, but I'm going to have to decline. Because let me tell you something, when it comes to interviewing, they are interviewing you, but you are also interviewing them. And the way people treat you in interviews is the way they're going to treat you on the job. And people who do not have respect for my time, they can't be my employer. Absolutely not. So I probably had more confidence because I already had a job that I already accepted. But I don't care if you don't have a job that you've already accepted. People have got to respect you from the moment they contact you. Okay? If they cannot give you courtesy and time when it comes to the interview process, they will not give you courtesy and time when it comes to you being a nurse. Respect yourself and they will respect you as well. So let's go on to the employer that I actually accepted the offer from. They called me. The recruiter was so nice and so kind. And we had a small phone interview, and she's like, yeah, I want to move you on in the process. She set up an interview for the director of the ER. And first of all, I'm going to tell you honestly, I did not negotiate my pay because what they were offering was already $2 more than what I wanted. So they were already offering like $34, something like that, $34 plus shift differential. So I didn't negotiate at all. I could have, you probably should, but I already had my bottom line. You beat my bottom line. I don't want to haggle. So they were saying 34. They pay for the RN to BSN. They have all these benefits, great residency program. And then when I met with the director, questions I got. They looked at my resume. Like, obviously I have an extensive resume. I have been working since I was 16. I do not put every single job since I was 16. I do, however, put the last 10 years that I have been in hospitality. And it shows my growth from a PBX operator all the way to Director of Residential Services, which is the title that I currently hold. And they asked me, why do I want to change careers? And it's really important when you answer interview questions that you always come from a very positive place. There can be no negativity when you are talking about a current or past employer. You can also, you can, and I'm gonna give you an example of using negativity, but in a way that favors you. So my answer to the interview question is why you're choosing nursing and why you're choosing this career change is, I was like, you know what? COVID really changed my life. Not because I knew anybody personally who suffered from it or who died from it, but because, you know, during the pandemic, you, healthcare workers, were out here making a difference, saving lives, being there and at people's most vulnerable moment. The work you were doing, are doing, is truly inspiring, and it inspired me. I'll be honest with you, while you were saving lives, I was fighting with unit owners over having to close the pool and the gym so I could protect everyone and keep everyone safe. And it made my job seem really insignificant. And I knew that I had to make a change. So here I am. They ate it up, y'all. They ate it up. They ate it up. I said it just like that, with that tone, that type of caring. So yes, I came from a negative standpoint that my job felt insignificant and I was unhappy with it. But I turned it around to say, I'm gonna make a difference, just like you all did. That is the only way that you can use negativity. Okay? Now they asked me what I knew about the place. So before any interview, not the day before, the day of, right before I'm gonna walk in, I get on the website, I look up their mission, their vision, try and find their founder to see if they have any type of quote. I look to see something like how many beds they have, what level is their trauma center, you know, do they specialize in something? Do they have a cancer center? Do they have a diabetes center? Do they do bariatric surgery? Like, I'm looking for this type of stuff. I only need 2 or 3 things, y'all. So I looked up their founder, and their founder said something that really touched me. It said something like about how like the people make the hospital, right? It was talking about the workers and pouring into them. So I mentioned that. I mentioned how many beds they had in the whole hospital. I mentioned that it was a level 2 trauma center. And they were like, ooh, they ate it up, y'all. You should definitely know something about your hospital. Point blank period, okay? What else did they ask me? They asked, and this question totally threw me for a loop, and they could tell. But they asked, if you had an unlimited budget, what would you do to make nursing better? And I was kind of stumped, but in the back of my mind, I know I want to be an educator. So every question that I answered, I somehow related it to education. So I said, well, you know what? If you look at my resume and you see that I worked for the Ritz-Carlton. One thing about the Ritz-Carlton is that they specialize in educating their people, and you get constant reoccurring training in general, but also specific to your role. It's very much customized. And I was like, I would do something like that. I would customize education to each and every nurse so that, yeah, they got the general education that they needed to do their jobs and to get their continuing education or whatever, but also anything that they were interested in, anything that would make them a better nurse, anything that would make them more efficient, get more excited about their job, I would customize education in their particular learning style for them. they liked the answer. You know, like they didn't eat it up, but they liked the answer, right? And then they asked me, well, we do offer education. How would you get people to comply with it? And I was totally stumped, and I was like, you know what? That's a good question. I don't have really an answer for that. And they're like, use your current experience. And I was like, oh, once they said that, I was like, you know what? I do have an answer. I'll tell you this. And I said, when I go to a job, even though I have a manager title, I don't just jump in and lord it over the people that I'm a manager. I take my time, I get to know the people, and I get to know the job, every aspect of the job. So I go to the engineers and I follow an engineer for a day, and I do everything that engineer does. I will use a plunger, and I will unplug a toilet. I will change out the light bulbs. It doesn't matter what they're doing. If it's in my strength to do it, I'm gonna do it. I go with the housekeepers and I spend the day stripping rooms and cleaning rooms with them. You know, I go to the front desk and I, check people in. And they ate that one up, okay? Because basically I'm showing that I'm a team player and that I'm a know-it-all. I do what it takes to get to know the job. And so I linked that to how you get it done. I said, because I know every aspect of the job, I know I've earned people's respect, okay? And so when Tamara B says that there is a meeting and it's educational, I don't have to beg people to come. They come. Boy, they ate that one up, okay? What else? They also asked, tell me about the best nurse that you've worked with. And I said, you know what? It was right here in this hospital. And this nurse, it was the first time I saw a nurse use a stethoscope. And I was like, we listened to bowel sounds together, lung sounds, heart sounds. It was a great experience. And I knew that that's the type of nurse that I wanted to be. They loved it. They ate it up. It was great. Then they said the worst nurse that you've been around. And I said, well, in my current assignment, I am doing clinicals on an oncology hematology floor. And a lot of these patients are sickle cell patients. And I find that when I'm with these nurses, they don't believe the people's pain. And so they are not on time with their pain meds. And it's one thing if you're swamped and that's why you're not on time. It's another thing if you are not on time because you don't believe the people's pain. That's not up to you, boo. That's up to the doctor. Okay, I wasn't hyped like that, but I told them that it really upset me that nurses were not medicating on time because of their own personal belief and not just following the doctor's orders like they should. And so they didn't eat that up, but they totally understood. And they're like, yes, we got to be following doctor's orders. So after those, I guess 5 or so questions, they basically spent the rest of the interview like convincing me, like, that the place was great and, how I could come to them if I need anything and blah, blah, blah. And then they asked if I had any questions, and I most certainly did. I asked about what is their expectation of a new grad nurse when it comes to being on your own. Like, what is the time frame that you expect this nurse to actually be performing to your standards? Like what you feel is a good accomplished nurse. And they gave me an answer, and it was acceptable to me. What else did I ask? I asked, what are the challenges of the department? And they were honest. And I respect them for that. And then the last question I asked was, why do they stay with this particular company? And they knew exactly why I was asking that, because this particular company doesn't have the best reputation in the nurse world. So I was like, I looked at one of them, like the one that I thought would be like the most truthful and honest with me. And I said, how long have you been here with this company? And I said, what makes you stay? Like, what is it about this company that makes you stay? And then she just listed off like all of the things. And it wasn't like generic responses that you expect from somebody who's trying to convince you into staying, like, to accepting the job. Like, it was like really truly her experiences and specific reasons why she stays with this company. And all my interviewers have been with this company for quite some time, like a good amount of time, like, a decade or more. And some of them in that particular hospital for quite some time. So I was very much impressed by them. I accepted the offer as soon as I got it. And I honestly didn't apply anywhere else after those 2 places that I applied, even though some of them kept calling back. Oh, you know what? I actually did get a 3rd hospital trying to recruit me, but that hospital, the recruiter was kind of like slack. And I was like, I'm not gonna keep playing phone tag with you, and I'm not gonna like this is not gonna work for me. So I didn't even like pursue them at all. So I guess you can say technically I was there with like 3 different types of people. I mean, 3 different types of hospitals. I'm in the Chick-fil-A line, y'all. I'm tired. I don't even know where I left off. Okay, so technically I applied to 2 places and was getting recruited by 1 without applying. I interviewed only with 1 because the other 2 didn't meet my expectations even before an interview. So okay, so it's really important to know with the company I signed with, they only give you a verbal offer letter depending on how far you out. I was really far out. I applied to these 2 nurse residency programs. Let's see, like October, November-ish. So after my 3rd, you have 3 exams and a final in advanced med surg. So I think like after the 3rd exam, when I was like, okay, I'm almost sure I'm gonna pass this class, that's when I applied to the 2 residencies. And where was I going with this? I'm getting distracted because I'm in the Chick-fil-A line. Okay, if you apply that early before you graduate, they're not going to give you a paper offer. They're going to give you a verbal offer. And that's part of the reason why I had every intention of applying to other places after I graduated. But I did accept the verbal offer. And then in January, they sent the actual paper offer with the actual rate. And by the way, they gave me like an extra like $1.50, something like that, without me even asking. So if you have any type of experience in the healthcare field, they will give you more money for that. And it's supposed to be direct patient, and I didn't have direct patient. It was like a customer service role in the hospital, and they still gave me credit for it. So I got more money than the regular average graduate. So yeah, I got the paper, physical, real offer in like mid-January. Then I went into HR to do like all the pre-employment stuff. Like the end of January. Now recently, today actually, I was able to order my uniforms, and I start February 27th. I'm so excited. This is like such an amazing, exciting time. So you can absolutely have a job offer before you graduate. Don't settle. Apply to everywhere you want to apply. But if you've done clinical somewhere and you really like the atmosphere of the place, you like the people, just go with it. Go with it. This particular company that I've decided to work with, I swore I would never work with them because they have such a horrible reputation in the nurse world. And I can tell you honestly, I would never choose to work the floor in this facility or any other related facility that this company owns. But the emergency room in particular at this hospital, because I did clinical there and enjoyed it and really saw it like from an outsider's perspective and really watched the people like a fly on the wall to see how they really are. Yeah, I know I'm gonna have a good time here. I am so super excited. I am really excited, guys. This is gonna be probably one of the longest videos I have ever brought you, but like I said, I was going to ramble. So go to the timestamps below and skip around as you need to. I love you guys. God bless you. And let's all be nurses. Hey.